My high-functioning sister faked having severe Down syndrome to manipulate everyone into giving her whatever she wanted. After she destroyed my friend's life with life-ruining false accusations, we baited her into a trap where she publicly admitted she'd been faking her disability level for years. My younger sister has high-functioning Down syndrome. You see, she has a form of Down syndrome where only some of your cells have the extra chromosome. So aside from looking a little different, she actually had the same IQ level as the average person. But the rest of the world didn't know that, and she knew it too. It took me a while to figure out what was going on, because during childhood I loved her with all my heart. I didn't even see her as a friend. I saw her as someone I wanted to make happy, even if it meant sacrifice. I always did her homework when she asked, and let her have anything of mine that she wanted. "We're so proud of you for being such an amazing big sister," my parents would say. This was the last time in my life that they praised me, because one day, I told Lily that I was too tired to do her homework, but instead of saying she understood, or even just ignoring me, she kicked the back of my legs until I fell over and struggled to breathe. I tried to call out my parents' names, and after a few minutes, my mom finally came up the stairs. "Mom, Lily, excuse me," she interrupted, standing there like I had just done something wrong. "Your sister has Down syndrome. Of course she is going to make a few mistakes sometimes." She then stomped downstairs and gifted Lily with her favorite ice cream before continuing to watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Heat flooded my face. I felt a wave of guilt wash over me. Was I really a horrible sister? That night, my question was answered. I was fast asleep at 1 a.m. when Lily came bursting into my room. "You know, I calculated exactly how hard I needed to kick you to make you fall without leaving bruises. Physics is pretty useful." I looked up to see an evil smirk plastered across her face, and that's when I knew she was just playing into the whole Down syndrome thing. From there, things only got worse. One afternoon in summer, we were eating watermelon together, and I let her have the juiciest pieces. I was accidentally chewing too loudly, and she punched me in the back of my head until I felt like I had a concussion. "Stop eating like an effing peasant," she cried out. When my parents came rushing in, I expected them to help me stand, but instead they went over to comfort Lily. "I'm sorry your sister can't be better." And that's why my first heartbreak wasn't a boy. It was my parents. And because Lily and I went to the same school, I couldn't escape it. She would tell everyone about what a horrible person I was, and every morning consisted of dirty looks and whispered gossip, all directed towards me. There was only one person who took my side, and that was Blake. Blake had a brother with full-fledged Down syndrome, so he knew what it was really like to take care of one. And he hated how Lily treated me even more than I did. He was the only one who opened his eyes enough to see the bruises that littered my body, the scars across my skin that started before I knew how to follow a fire drill. But the whole time, I never did anything, because even though everyone we knew treated her better than they did to me, she still looked like she had Down syndrome. And I saw the weird looks she would get on the street, the comments dumb boys would make about how they'd have to bag her face. I figured if the roles were reversed, I'd probably hate me too. But then she took it too far. Me and Blake were sitting together in the lunch canteen when Lily walked over and sat on his lap. It was literally their first time talking. "Hey, will you go out with me?" she asked, batting her eyelashes. In a moment of quick thinking, Blake blurted out, "I'm gay girly pop," before motioning his wrist in a slay motion. It made me cringe, but when I looked over to Lily, she looked angry, like really angry. Later that day when I got home, my mom immediately greeted me at the door. "You're not to spend time with Blake ever again." The color drained from my face. She continued, "He should be locked up after what he did to your sister. I mean, intimately assaulting a girl with Down syndrome is just disgusting." I nodded and pretended to listen, before running to my room. On Instagram, everyone in our school was posting on their stories about how Blake was a rapist. Tears streamed down my face. I hoped that Lily wouldn't keep going, but I was wrong. And after 6 months, Lily was testifying in court. No one was listening to me, and Blake was put behind bars for a year with no parole. I knew this time she wouldn't get away with it because 12 months in federal detention gives you time to think, not about suffering, but about strategy. I paid attention to every little thing Lily did. I watched her when she thought no one was around, her dialogue, her mannerisms, her victim mindset that made her think the world was out to get her. And by the time Blake was out, I had built the perfect plan to ruin her. The day Blake got released was weird. I picked him up from the detention center and he looked different. Not physically, really, just tired. His eyes had this hollow quality to them, like he'd seen things that aged him beyond his years. We drove in silence for a while before he finally spoke. He told me he spent every day thinking about how to get back at her. I said I had a plan, but he cut me off. He said, "No, I have a better idea. Just trust me on this one." His voice was different too, harder somehow. I was confused, but agreed. The next week at school was strange. Blake avoided me completely. He wouldn't even look at me in the hallways. Then on Friday, I saw something that made my stomach drop. Blake was sitting with Lily at lunch. They were laughing together. My hands started shaking. Had jail broken him? Was he playing some long game? I tried to catch his eye, but he wouldn't look at me. After school, I waited by his locker. When he finally showed up, Lily was with him. She smirked at me and grabbed his hand. Blake looked at me and said, "Sorry. I realized some things while I was away. I'm actually straight, and Lily is amazing." My jaw dropped. Lily's smirk got bigger. They walked away together, leaving me standing there like an idiot. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything in my head. Blake had been my only ally. Now he was dating the person who ruined his life. It didn't make sense, unless this was his plan. I grabbed my phone and texted him. He didn't respond. The next day was Saturday, and I saw on Lily's Instagram that she was at Blake's house, meeting his family, the same family whose other son had actual Down syndrome. I knew Blake's parents well. They were smart people, really smart. If Lily was trying to fit in with them, she'd have to show her true colors eventually. I decided to wait and watch. Monday came and something was different. Lily was talking more in class, actually answering questions correctly, using big words. People started noticing. By Wednesday, she was helping other other students with their homework, the same homework she used to make me do for her. Kids began whispering, but this time it wasn't about me. They were confused about Lily. How could someone with Down syndrome suddenly be explaining calculus? Blake's parents came to pick him up from school on Thursday. I watched from across the parking lot as Lily chatted with them. She was using hand gestures, speaking quickly, clearly trying to impress them. Blake's mom kept tilting her head, studying Lily carefully. His dad was frowning. That night, Blake finally texted me back. One word: patience. Friday was when everything started falling apart for Lily. In biology class, she corrected the teacher on something. The teacher looked shocked. So did everyone else. At lunch, I sat alone as usual, eating my apple. I made sure to chew loudly, really loudly. Lily was sitting with Blake and his friends nearby. I could see her getting agitated. She kept glancing over at me. I took another big bite. Crunch. Then another. Crunch. She stood up suddenly. Blake grabbed her arm, but she shook him off. She stormed over to my table. I kept eating, looking straight ahead. Crunch. That's when she lost it. She grabbed the apple from my hand and threw it across the cafeteria. It hit the wall with a splat. The entire room went silent. Every single person was staring at us. Lily's face was red with rage. She screamed, "You think you're so clever, don't you? Chewing like that on purpose?" I stayed calm and said, "I don't know what you mean, Lily. I'm just eating lunch." She lunged at me, but Blake was there in an instant, holding her back. He said, "Babe, calm down, she's not worth it." But Lily wasn't listening. She was screaming about how I'd ruined her life, how I was jealous of her, how I couldn't stand that she was special. The more she talked, the more normal she sounded. No slurred speech, no confusion, just pure, articulate rage. Teachers started rushing over. The principal appeared. Lily was still yelling, using vocabulary that would make a college professor proud. Someone started recording on their phone, then another person. Soon half the cafeteria had their phones out. Blake let go of Lily and stepped back, his face a mask of shock and confusion. He said, "Lily, you sound different." She froze. The realization hit her like a truck. She'd blown her cover completely. The principal asked Lily to come to his office. As they walked away, I could hear kids already talking. "Did you see that? She sounded totally normal. Has she been faking this whole time?" Blake sat down next to me. He whispered that was even better than I planned. I just wanted to make her comfortable enough to slip up. I didn't think she'd explode like that. We watched as more videos started popping up on social media. By the end of the day, Lily's meltdown had gone viral in our school. The truth was finally out there, captured in high definition for everyone to see. The weekend was brutal. My phone kept buzzing with notifications every few minutes, the screen lighting up my dark bedroom like a strobe light. People from school were messaging me nonstop. They wanted to know if Lily had always been like this, if I knew she was faking, if all the stories she told about me were lies. I didn't respond to any of them. I was too exhausted, too drained from years of this nightmare. Monday morning came too fast. I walked into school expecting chaos, but it was worse than that. It was divided. Half the kids thought Lily was a manipulative liar. The other half thought she was still a victim who just had a bad day. Blake found me at my locker. He told me this isn't over yet. We need more proof. I asked what he meant. He said one video isn't enough. People are already making excuses for her, saying she was just stressed or having a moment. We need something bigger. I didn't know what bigger meant until lunch. Lily walked into the cafeteria like nothing happened. She was back to her old act. Slurred speech, confused expressions, the whole thing. But now people were watching more carefully. I could see kids studying her movements, looking for cracks in the performance. Blake sat with me this time. We didn't talk much, just watched. Lily sat with her usual group, but they seemed uncomfortable. She kept trying to engage them in conversation, but they gave short answers. Then Ryan walked over to her table. Ryan was in our AP physics class. He was holding his textbook. He asked Lily if she could help him with a problem, said he heard she was really good at physics. The cafeteria got quiet again. Lily's face went pale. She stammered something about not being good at school stuff. Ryan persisted. He said, "But you told someone you calculated exact force vectors. That's advanced stuff." Lily stood up quickly, knocking over her tray. Food went everywhere. She started crying and ran out. But as she ran, I heard her mutter something about kinetic energy under her breath. More people heard it too. The rest of the week was tense. Lily doubled down on her act, but people weren't buying it anymore. Teachers started paying attention too. Mrs. Peterson from English asked Lily to read aloud in class. Lily pretended to struggle with basic words, but when she thought no one was looking, I saw her roll her eyes. Alan saw it too. He was sitting right behind her. After class, he told everyone what he saw. The stories started piling up. Kids remembered times when Lily had slipped up before, when she'd used big words or solved problems too quickly. They just hadn't paid attention before. Now they were connecting dots. By Thursday, Lily was getting desperate. She confronted Blake in the hallway, asked him why he was ignoring her, why he wasn't defending her anymore. Blake played dumb, said he didn't know what she meant, that he still cared about her. She grabbed his shirt and said, "Stop lying to me. I know what you're doing." Blake gently removed her hands and said, "Babe, you're scaring me. You're acting so different lately." She stormed off. Friday was when things escalated. We had a school assembly about inclusion and disabilities. The principal thought it would help calm things down, make people more understanding. It had the opposite effect. During the presentation, they talked about different types of disabilities. When they mentioned high-functioning conditions, everyone turned to look at Lily. She was sitting in the front row, trying to look confused, but her jaw was clenched. Her hands were fists. After the assembly, Lily cornered me in the bathroom. She said, "You think you've won, don't you?" I washed my hands and said, "I don't know what you mean." She laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. She said, "Blake told me everything, how you two planned this whole thing." I turned to face her. I said, "Blake and I haven't talked in weeks. You made sure of that, remember?" Her face twisted. She said, "Stop lying." He admitted it. "You're both trying to ruin me." I shrugged and started to leave. She blocked the door. That's when Sarah walked in. Sarah was Blake's cousin. She'd transferred to our school last month. She looked between us and asked if everything was okay. Lily immediately switched rushed back to her act, slurred her words and said she was just confused, needed help finding her class. Sarah raised an eyebrow. She said, "Really? Because it sounded like you were threatening her, and your speech was perfect 5 seconds ago." Lily's mask slipped for just a second. Pure rage flashed across her face. Then she pushed past Sarah and left. Sarah looked at me and said, "Blake's parents want to meet with you. They have questions about Lily." I agreed to go after school. The meeting was intense. Blake's parents, Ruth and Bobby, sat across from me in their living room. Blake was there too, but he stayed quiet. Ruth spoke first. She said, "We've been watching Lily carefully. Something isn't right. My son, Blake's brother, has Down syndrome. Real Down syndrome. What Lily has. It's different." I nodded. Bobby leaned forward. He said, "We did some research. Mosaic Down syndrome, which is what Lily claims to have, can vary greatly, but her behavior patterns don't match any medical literature." I told them about the incident when we were kids, how she calculated exactly how hard to kick me, how she admitted it. Ruth's face went dark. She said she's been manipulating everyone, including the legal system. Blake finally spoke up. He said I wanted to expose her, show everyone what she really is, but I needed her to trust me first, to let her guard down. It worked better than I thought. His parents exchanged looks. Bobby said we need to be careful. She's already proven she'll use the law as a weapon. We can't give her any ammunition. Ruth agreed. She said, "But we also can't let her keep doing this. It's wrong." We talked for another hour, trying to figure out what to do. That weekend, Lily made a mistake, a big one. She posted on Instagram about how hard it was living with her disability, how people didn't understand her struggles. But in the post, she used perfect grammar, complex sentence structures, no mistakes. Someone screenshotted it before she could delete and repost a dumbed-down version. The screenshot spread like wildfire. By Sunday night, everyone had seen it. Monday morning was chaos. Lily came to school with our parents. They marched straight to the principal's office. I could hear my mom yelling from down the hall, something about cyberbullying and discrimination, but the principal wasn't having it. More parents had called over the weekend. They wanted answers. They wanted to know if their kids had been manipulated, if Lily had been lying this whole time. During lunch, an announcement came over the speakers. There would be a parent-teacher conference that evening. All families were strongly encouraged to attend. Blake found me after school. He said, "This is it. Tonight everything comes out. Just stick to the truth. No embellishments. Let her hang herself with her own rope." I went home to find my parents furious. My mom screamed at me for 2 hours, said I was destroying Lily's life, that I was jealous and cruel. I didn't argue. I just went to my room and waited. The conference was at 7. We arrived to find the auditorium packed. Parents, teachers, students, everyone wanted answers. The principal started by saying they were there to address concerns about a situation involving a student. He didn't name Lily, but everyone knew. He talked about the importance of honesty and trust in their school community. Then he opened the floor for questions. The first parent to speak was Kelly, Alan's mom. She said her son had been telling her disturbing things about a student who might be pretending to have a disability. She wanted to know what the school was doing about it. Before the principal could answer, my mom stood up. She said, "This is a witch hunt. My daughter has Down syndrome. She's being persecuted for being different." That's when Ruth stood up, Blake's mom. She said, "With all due respect, I have a son with Down syndrome. I know what it looks like. What Lily has been displaying is not consistent with any form of the condition." The room erupted, parents arguing with each other, some defending Lily, others demanding investigations. The principal tried to restore order. That's when Lily stood up. She said, "Stop it. All of you just stop." The room went silent. She was breathing hard. Her face was red. She said, "You want the truth? Fine. Yes, I have mosaic Down syndrome. Yes, I have above average intelligence. But do you know what it's like? To look different? To have everyone treat you like you're stupid before you even open your mouth?" The room stayed quiet. She continued. She said, "I learned early that if I played into it, people were nicer. They gave me things. They didn't expect much. It was easier than fighting every single day to be seen as normal." Some parents looked sympathetic. Others looked angry. My mom reached for Lily, but she pulled away. She said, "And yes, I used it to my advantage sometimes. But my sister, she never understood. She had everything. Normal face, normal life. Everyone loved her. I just wanted some of that." Her voice cracked, but it was too late. The damage was done. The principal cleared his throat. He said, "Regardless of the reasons, there are serious allegations about false accusations made against another student. We need to address this." Blake's dad stood up. He said my son spent a year in detention because of those false accusations. A year of his life gone, based on lies. Lily's face went white. She said I didn't mean, but Bobby wasn't done. He said we have statements from multiple witnesses who heard Lily admit she lied. We have evidence she's been manipulating people for years. This needs to stop. The room erupted again. This time the principal had to call for security to help calm things down. He announced that the meeting was over, said the school would be conducting a full investigation, that there would be consequences for any wrongdoing. As we left, Lily wouldn't look at me. My parents were silent. The car ride home was suffocating. The next few days were surreal. Lily didn't come to school. The investigation was ongoing. Kids were being called in to give statements. Blake and I were interviewed separately. We told them everything, every incident, every threat, every lie. The principal looked exhausted by the end of it. He said he'd never seen anything like this in his 30 years of education. By Thursday, word got out that the police were involved. Not for Lily this time, for Blake's false imprisonment. Turns out filing a false police report is a serious crime, even if you're a minor, even if you have a disability. My parents finally started to crack. I heard them arguing late at night, my dad saying maybe they'd been wrong, maybe they should have listened to me. My mom still defending Lily, but her voice was less certain. Friday afternoon, I came home to find Lily packing. She wouldn't talk to me, just kept shoving clothes into a suitcase. My mom told me Lily was going to stay with our aunt for a while, until things calmed down. I asked for how long. My mom didn't answer. That night, I finally cried. Not for Lily, not for my parents, for the little girl I used to be, the one who loved her sister unconditionally, who did homework and shared toys and never questioned why it was never reciprocated. That girl was gone, had been for a long time. I just hadn't wanted to admit it. The weekend was quiet, too quiet. Blake came over on Saturday. We sat in my backyard, not really talking. He said his parents were pressing charges. Said Lily would probably get community service and probation, maybe mandatory therapy. I asked if he was okay with that. He said it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about making sure she couldn't do it to someone else. We sat in silence for a while. Then he asked if I wanted to get ice cream. I said yes. It was the first normal thing I'd done in years. We went to the place downtown, the one with 30 flavors. I got chocolate, he got vanilla. We sat outside and watched people walk by. Nobody stared at us. Nobody whispered. We were just two teenagers eating ice cream. It was nice. Sunday night, Lily called. First time since she left. She sounded different, tired. She said she was sorry, that she'd been thinking, realized what she'd done, how she'd hurt people, hurt me. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to forgive her instantly. The other part remembered every bruise, every lie, every moment of humiliation. I told her I needed time. She said she understood, said she was getting help, real help this time, not just playing along to get people off her back. We hung up without saying goodbye. I stared at my phone for a long time after, wondering if she meant it, wondering if it mattered. Monday at school was different. People still talked about what happened, but it wasn't the main focus anymore. Life was moving on. Blake and I ate lunch together. Not as boyfriend and girlfriend, not yet, just as friends who'd been through something terrible together. Sarah joined us. So did Alan, and Pamela from my English class. Suddenly, I had something I'd never had before. Real friends. People who knew the truth and chose to stand by me anyway. It felt strange, but good. My parents were still struggling. They'd call during the day to check on me, ask if I was okay, if I needed anything. It was more attention than they'd given me in years. I didn't know how to handle it. Part of me was angry. Where was this concern when I was covered in bruises? When I was crying myself to sleep? But part of me was just tired. Too tired to hold on to the anger. By Wednesday, the principal announced that the investigation was complete. Disciplinary actions had been taken. He didn't give details, but everyone knew what it meant. Lily's permanent record would show what she'd done. College applications would be affected. Scholarships lost. The life she'd built on lies was crumbling. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I just felt empty. Blake noticed. He said it's okay to have mixed feelings. She's still your sister. I nodded, but didn't trust myself to speak. That afternoon, I went to the bathroom and found Peyton crying in a stall. Peyton was a freshman who'd been one of Lily's biggest defenders. I asked if they were okay. They said they felt stupid. They'd believed everything Lily said, thought they were protecting someone vulnerable. Now they didn't know what to believe anymore. I told them it wasn't their fault, that Lily was very good at manipulation, that wanting to protect someone wasn't something to be ashamed of. Peyton nodded and wiped their eyes, said thanks for not rubbing it in. I said I wouldn't do that. We'd all been fooled at some point. Thursday brought more news. The local news wanted to do a story. The principal shut it down immediately, said the students involved were minors and deserved privacy. I was grateful. The last thing I wanted was more attention. Blake's family was less lucky. Someone had leaked their name in connection with the false imprisonment. They were getting calls from reporters. His mom was furious, said they just wanted to move on, put it all behind them. But the internet doesn't forget. Screenshots of Lily's posts were still circulating. People were analyzing them, pointing out inconsistencies. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. You wanted to look away but couldn't. Friday was Lily's birthday. In past years, it had been a big production. Parties and presents and everyone fawning over her. This year, nothing. My parents didn't even mention it. I thought about texting her. Typed out message after message. Deleted them all. What do you say to someone who terrorized you for years? Happy birthday seemed inadequate. Blake asked if I was okay. I said I didn't know. He said that was okay too. That healing wasn't linear. Some days would be harder than others. We were sitting in the library when Kai came over. Kai was the kid who'd filmed Lily's cafeteria meltdown. The one who'd shared it in the group chat. They said they felt guilty, like they'd started all of this. I told them they didn't start anything. They just documented what was already happening. Kai said still, seeing someone's life fall apart because of something I recorded. It's heavy. I understood what they meant. Even though Lily had hurt me, watching her lose everything wasn't satisfying. It was just sad. The weekend passed in a blur. I did homework, watched TV, tried to pretend everything was normal. My parents tiptoed around me. They'd ask if I wanted to talk. I always said no. What was there to say? That I was right all along? That they should have believed me? It wouldn't change anything. Sunday night, my dad knocked on my door. He said he was sorry, that he'd failed me as a parent, that he should have seen what was happening. I told him it wasn't his fault, that Lily was good at what she did. He shook his head, said no, I should have protected you, both of you. I should have gotten Lily real help years ago. Instead, I enabled her. We both did. He was crying. I'd never seen my dad cry before. I hugged him, told him we'd figure it out, that maybe it wasn't too late. He hugged me back, said he loved me, that he was proud of me, for surviving, for being strong, for still having compassion after everything. I cried too then. Years of pain and anger and loneliness pouring out. We stayed like that for a long time. Monday came with unexpected news. Lily was coming back to school. The administration had decided she could finish the year, with conditions. She had to attend mandatory counseling, maintain distance from certain students, including Blake, including me. Any violation would result in immediate expulsion. I saw her in the hallway between second and third period. She looked smaller somehow, defeated. She saw me too. Started to walk over, then remembered the rules, turned and went the other way. It was strange. For so long, she'd been this looming presence in my life, this source of fear and pain. Now she was just a girl who'd lost everything. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. But then I remembered the bruises, the lies, the years of torment. The sympathy faded. Maybe someday I could forgive her. Maybe someday we could be sisters again. But not today. Not yet. Today, I just needed to focus on healing, on building the life she'd tried so hard to destroy, on being free, on learning learning who I was without her shadow looming over me, on discovering what it meant to live without fear, on finding my own voice after years of silence. The next few weeks were weird. Lily kept to herself mostly. She'd eat lunch alone in the corner of the cafeteria. Kids would stare, but nobody talked to her. I caught her looking at me sometimes during class. She'd quickly look away when our eyes met. Blake said she tried to approach him once after school. Security stepped in before she could get close, reminded her about the restraining order. She just nodded and walked away. Part of me wondered what she wanted to say. The other part didn't care. My parents were trying too hard to make up for lost time. Mom started making my favorite dinners every night. Dad would ask about my day and actually listen to the answer. It felt fake, like they were following a script titled How to Be Good Parents. I went along with it because fighting seemed pointless. One night at dinner, Mom mentioned that Lily's therapist wanted to do a family session, said it would help with healing. I almost choked on my pasta. I told her absolutely not. Dad backed me up, said I'd been through enough. Mom didn't bring it up again. School was getting back to normal. The Lily drama was old news. People moved on to other gossip. Who was dating who failed what test. Regular teenage stuff. It was nice. Blake and I were spending more time together. Not dating exactly, just hanging out, going to movies, getting food, normal friend things. His parents invited me over for dinner sometimes. His brother Peter would show me his drawings. They were really good, way better than anything I could do. He was proud when I told him that. Then came the day everything changed again. It was a Thursday. I was eating lunch with Blake and Sarah when I heard a commotion. Someone was yelling. I turned to see Lily standing on a table. She was screaming at some freshman who'd apparently bumped into her. The kid looked terrified. Everyone was staring, recording. Lily didn't seem to care. She kept yelling about disrespect and how everyone thought they were better than her. A teacher rushed over, told her to get down. She refused, said she was tired of being treated like nothing. The teacher called for security. That's when Lily saw me watching. Her face changed, got this weird look, like she'd just remembered something. She jumped down from the table and started walking toward me, fast. The teacher called after her, but she ignored him. Blake stood up, put himself between us, told her to stop. She tried to go around him. He moved to block her again. That's when she snapped. She shoved him, hard. He stumbled backward and crashed into our table. Food went everywhere. I jumped up to help him. That's when I felt her grab my hair. She yanked me around to face her, started screaming about how this was all my fault, how I'd ruined her life, how everyone loved me and hated her. I tried to pull away, but she had a good grip. Kids were yelling. Teachers were running over. But before they could reach us, something unexpected happened. Peter appeared out of nowhere, Blake's brother. He was supposed to be in his special education class, but there he was. He walked right up to Lily, calm as could be. He said, "Please let go of her. You're hurting her. That's not nice." Lily froze, stared at him. Her grip loosened. Peter smiled at her, his genuine, sweet smile. He said it's okay to be mad, but hurting people doesn't make the mad go away. It makes more mad. Everyone was silent, watching this kid with actual Down syndrome show more emotional intelligence than any of us. Lily let go of my hair. Her hands were shaking. She looked around at all the faces, all the phones recording. The teachers finally reached us. Security too. They took Lily away. She didn't resist, just kept staring at Peter as they led her out. The principal expelled her that afternoon. No more chances. She'd violated every condition of her return, attacked 2 students, made threats. It was over. My parents were called in. They had to pick up her things. Mom cried the whole time. Dad just looked tired. They told me that night that Lily would be going to a therapeutic boarding school, somewhere that could give her the help she needed, somewhere far away. I asked how long. They said at least a year, maybe more, depending on her progress. I said okay. What else was there to say? Blake had a bruise on his back from hitting the table. His parents wanted to press additional charges. He told them no, said he just wanted it to be over. They respected his choice. Peter kept asking if Lily was okay, if she was getting help for her mad feelings. We told him yes. He seemed satisfied with that, said everyone deserved help when they were sad or mad. Kid was wise beyond his years. Made me think about how different things might have been if Lily had been more like him, if she'd used her intelligence for good instead of manipulation. The next few days were quiet, too quiet, like the calm after a storm. Kids at school treated me differently, not mean, just careful, like I might break or something. I hated it. I told Blake I just wanted things to be normal. He said normal was relative, that we'd find our new normal, whatever that meant. Sarah started joining us for lunch every day. So did Pamela and Alan, even Peyton sometimes. I'd gone from eating alone to having a whole group. It was nice, but also overwhelming. I wasn't used to having friends. A week after Lily left, I found a letter in my locker, her handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. It was long, 3 pages. She wrote about how sorry she was, how she'd been thinking about everything in therapy, how she realized she'd been jealous of me since we were little, not because I was normal looking, but because I was kind, because people liked me for who I was, not because they felt sorry for me. She said she'd turned that jealousy into hate, let it consume her, control her. She said she didn't expect forgiveness, just wanted me to know she was trying to change, to be better. I read it twice, then folded it up and put it in my backpack. I didn't know what to do with it, didn't know how to feel. Blake asked if I was okay when I met him after school. I showed him the letter. He read it silently, handed it back, asked what I wanted to do about it. I said I didn't know. He said that was okay, that I didn't have to decide anything right now. We walked to his house. Peter was in the front yard drawing with chalk. He'd covered the whole driveway with pictures, flowers and suns and stick figure families. He saw us and ran over, asked if we wanted to draw too. We spent the next hour adding to his masterpiece. It was the most peaceful I'd felt in years. That weekend, my parents told me they were starting therapy too, family counseling, to work through their guilt and mistakes. They asked if I wanted to join eventually. I said maybe, someday, not yet. They said they understood, that I could take all the time I needed. Mom had stopped watching reality TV, started reading parenting books instead. Dad was around more, working from home when he could. It was strange seeing them try so hard, but also kind of nice. Like maybe we could be a real family someday. Blake asked me on an actual date the following Friday. Said he'd been waiting until things calmed down, until I was ready. I said yes. We went to mini golf. I was terrible at it. He wasn't much better. We laughed every time one of us hit the ball into the water. It was perfect. Normal. Just two teenagers on a bad date. No drama, no complications. Just us. We held hands on the walk home. His palm was sweaty. So was mine. Neither of us cared. When he kissed me goodnight on my porch, it was awkward and sweet and exactly right. Things settled into a routine after that. School, homework, hanging out with friends, dates with Blake, Sunday dinners with his family. Peter always saved a seat next to him for me. Told everyone I was his friend. His parents treated me like family. It was everything I'd missed growing up. The acceptance, the warmth, the feeling of being wanted just for being myself. Not for what I could do for someone. Not for staying quiet and taking abuse. Just for being me. 3 months later, I got another letter from Lily. This one was different. Less about apologies. More about what she was learning. How she was working with her therapist to understand her behavior. How she'd started helping younger kids at the school who actually had disabilities. How it made her feel good to use her intelligence to help instead of hurt. She included a photo. Her with a group of little kids. All smiling. She looked different. Calmer. Maybe even happy. I kept that letter too. Still didn't respond. But I didn't throw it away either. My parents asked if I wanted to visit her. I said no. They didn't push. Just said the option was there if I changed my mind. They'd changed a lot too. Mom had apologized probably 100 times. Said she'd failed both of us. Dad had started coaching a special needs basketball team. Said it helped him understand what real disabilities looked like. How much harder life was for families dealing with actual challenges. Not manufactured ones. We ate dinner together every night now. Talked about our days. It wasn't perfect, but it was better. Blake and I had been dating for 6 months when Lily called. First time hearing her voice since everything happened. She sounded different. Calmer. More mature. She said she understood if I didn't want to talk. Just wanted to hear my voice. To tell me she was doing better. That therapy was helping. That she'd been accepted to a special program for kids with behavioral issues. Was learning coping skills. Making real friends. I listened. Didn't say much. When she asked how I was, I said good. And meant it. I was good. Finally. After years of being not good, I was actually genuinely good. She asked about Blake. If we were happy, I said yes. She said she was glad. That he was a good guy. That I deserved someone good. There was a long silence. Then she said she had to go. Group therapy was starting. Before hanging up, she said she loved me. I said okay. Not I love you too. Just okay. It was all I could manage. Maybe someday I'd be able to say it back. But not yet. Not today. Today, okay was enough for both of us. Senior year started with changes. Lily wasn't coming back. She'd graduated from her program but was staying at a therapeutic college. Somewhere she could continue getting help while studying. My parents visited her once a month. I still didn't go. Sent a birthday card though. She sent one back for mine. Small steps. Blake and I were still together. Planning for college. We'd applied to some of the same schools. Not to stay together necessarily. Just happened to have similar interests. If we ended up at the same place, great. If not, we'd figure it out. The year flew by. Promenade graduation, summer plans, normal teenage milestones I'd never thought I'd get to enjoy. Lily sent a graduation card. Inside, she'd written about how proud she was of me, how strong I'd been, how sorry she still was. I kept it with the letters, my collection of apologies, proof that she was trying, that maybe people could change, even people who'd done terrible things, even people who'd hurt you in ways that left scars. Physical ones had faded, emotional ones were taking longer, but they were healing too, slowly. College acceptance letters came. Blake got into his dream school. So did I. Different schools, different states. We decided to try long distance. If it worked, great. If not, at least we'd had this. Had each other when we needed it most. Had someone who understood, who'd been there, who'd seen the worst and stayed anyway. That was worth fighting for, worth trying to maintain. Even across miles and time zones. We'd survived worse. We could survive distance. The night before I left for college, my parents threw a small party. Just family and close friends. Blake and his family came. Peter gave me a drawing he'd made. It was us at mini golf. Stick figures, but you could tell who was who. I promised to hang it in my dorm room, and I would, right above my desk, where I could see it every day. Remember that good things could come from bad situations. That families weren't always blood. That sometimes the people who save you are the ones you least expect. As I packed my car the next morning, I found one more letter. This one from my parents, telling me how proud they were, how sorry they still were, how much they loved me, how they hoped college would be everything I dreamed, how they'd always be there if I needed them. Better late than never. I hugged them both, really hugged them. Not the stiff, obligatory hugs of the past. Real ones. Mom cried. Dad too. I might have also. It was a moment. A good one. One we'd needed for a long time. The drive to college was long. Gave me time to think. About everything that had happened. How different life was now. How I'd gone from being invisible to having people who actually saw me. Who cared. Who showed up. It wasn't the childhood I'd wanted. Wasn't the family I'd dreamed of. But it was mine. Messy and complicated and painful and ultimately okay. Better than okay. Good. I was good. My life was good. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.